Hey folks, my name is Pete. I'm married to a wonderful wife. I have two children, ages 3 and 5, both little girls, sweet as pie, smart as briars, and I also suffer from addiction, like a lot of you. Um, Now, I'm not addicted to alcohol. I don't even like alcohol. I'm not addicted to cigarettes. I don't smoke cigarettes. And well, sometimes I smoke cigarettes, but usually if I'm drinking alcohol. As far as drugs, the only drugs I touch anymore are the ones prescribed to me by my psychiatrist, and I don't like taking those. But anyway, my addiction is sex. I'm a sex addict. I didn't know this until very late in life, but I really have the drive of 10 men. I could do it all day. Um, Things have calmed down a little bit since I'm in my mid-40s, but still, it's there, and it's sometimes hard to live with. That's why, in fact, you see this beard and this long hair. See how it's thinning on top? It's really not very becoming. I should have it cut short and trim my beard and all, but I don't want to appear attractive to anyone for the sanctity of my marriage. That's how bad it is. So, when you talk about addiction, most people want to know why, how, what happened. People look at heroin addicts or junkies and they say, oh, they were probably smoking that pot, that gateway drug. Sugar's the gateway drug. Pot, the healing of the nations. But anyway, gateway drug theory, I don't really agree with it, but if there is to be a gateway drug to sex addiction, in my case, that gateway drug was chickenpox. Yep, chickenpox. 7 or 8 years old, I had the chickenpox. I don't remember exactly how old I was, but I knew we had only been in our new house for a couple of years. That makes me about 6, 7, 7, 8, something like that. And my whole body was covered. I mean, my whole body. Yep, even little Pete Johnson. So, as I'm laying in bed, layered in calamine lotion, depressed, unable to go outside, you can't play, you can't do anything, you can't go to school or see your friends. I was really bummed. There was just nothing to do but lay in bed and watch this little black and white television I had in my room. And as I'm laying there, I had an itch again on my penis, and I just could not resist the urge to scratch it. I had to scratch it. So I slid my dominant right hand down through the waistband of my young man's Fruit of the Looms onto my small penis. Um, and I began to rub. Imagine, if you will, taking hold and just rubbing like this. There's an itch here, ooh, it itches over there, and there's another one here, it just itches, so eventually you're kind of twisting and you're kind of rubbing, and then the itch kind of goes away and it's taken over by a different feeling. What is this? That actually doesn't itch anymore. It actually feels kind of good. So I keep on with the twisting and the pushing on the top part, and all of a sudden I'm laying there. I mean, I just want to throw my feet up in the air, and all of a sudden, I came. A dry ejaculation, a 7 or 8 year old ejaculation. Who would think it was possible? I was years away from puberty, yet I had just had sex with myself, and it was the greatest thing ever. Now, as time went on, I hid this from my very Baptist mother, and did it, and I started to cover myself with my bed sheets as I would do it. And I had a really good thing going for a long, long time, until I hit puberty and started producing fluid. Now, that's when it got a little sketchy, because I didn't know anything about hiding it. Mom didn't. I didn't expect anything. So Mom, I guess, started seeing little spots on my sheets and realized that, Peter's up to no good, in the Baptist opinion, and one night burst into my room conveniently and quickly with a stack of clothes that were folded and needed to be put into my dresser drawers. And, of course, I was in the act, and I quickly, like jerk, get the hands off the material and lay back in bed, pull my sheets up, act like I'm just laying there. Oh, I'm not doing anything. Mom looks at me, what are you doing? And I said, nothing. She said, what are you doing? I said, nothing. And I never admitted to what I was doing because I really didn't know what the word for it was. But she knew what I was doing, and she let me know that. And she said, "Well, why are you doing it?" I said, "Well, it feels good." And she said, "Well, you don't just do things, Peter, because they feel good." And she laid into speech number 39. All of her speeches were an hour and a half long, and they all had numbers. This was speech number 39. She began to tell me how, if your toe itches and you scratch it, eventually that itch, if it feels good, it's going to eventually start turning into pain and your toe might fall off. All I'm telling you, you don't do things just because they feel good. Lesson number 1, don't trust Mom. It felt good and I was going to keep doing it, but I wasn't going to let her find out. So I started using old shirts and different things that I could, hide it in. But here's the funny thing. As I adapted and really got good at it, I was doing it all wrong. It wasn't until I saw a Frankenstein comic in a Penthouse magazine that I realized I was doing it wrong. As most people would traditionally do this kind of thing. That wasn't my deal. I was doing this kind of thing. Rubbing it back and forth, twisting. And it's kind of like those little things you had in high school. Remember those little pencils that had hair on top, kind of like this mermaid Barbie? I think Ariel. The hair would go down and you would rub it, and the hair would all stick up in the air, and then you would smooth it down again and rub it again. That's what we did in math class instead of math. So that would be the motion I was using. Eventually I learned how to do it the other way, and it felt basically the same, but it proved a little easier in the shower with soap and things like that. So as the years went on and did my masturbation, eventually I began having sex. This led me down many dark alleys. I had sex for money. I have had sex with older women, much older than myself. I had a relationship one time with a much younger person that many would think inappropriate, but I just loved the sex. I could do it all day long, 365 days a year. So, why is it a problem? It's not really a problem, but eventually, like most addictions will, it almost overcame me. Once Mom caught me, I realize now that's when the break with authority occurred in my life. Up until that point, I was a happy-go-lucky kid. Everything my mom said was the word of God, and I believed it. Well, as the years went on, I started hearing things like the word of God, and everybody's going to hell, and this and that. And, if you don't believe in God. And I was at this point 14, 15 years old, and I wasn't having it. I was going to student council meetings all across the U.S., and meeting kids that were just as fucked up as I was, and just trying to find a way. So I didn't buy into the God thing, but I really think that my disconnect with authority came ultimately from a good case of the chickenpox. Because through that experience, I learned not to trust adults. And once you learn not to trust adults, you learn not to trust cops. And once you learn not to trust cops, you figure, hell, there is no authority. There is no God. I'm not going to go so far as to say I believe that, but that would be my gateway to disbelief. That would be my gateway theory into doing the wrong thing as opposed to the right. All because I got caught masturbating when I had chickenpox. So anyway, like I said, I'm a married man, and I have 2 young girls. And part of me really hopes, like most dads, that they never, ever, ever have sex. I propose to be that guy with the shotgun, meeting their first dates and things like that, but they are my children. They are my flesh and blood, so I worry that the addiction, that the gene will be passed down. And it only makes me worry more so right now for one reason. My 5-year-old, Emmy, who's beautiful, has just come down with chickenpox. And I'm watching her like a hawk. I just hope she gets it right And I hope she gets it so right that no one she meets will ever be as good as her chickenpox addicted masturbation. Um, Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it enlightens some of you. And if you'll excuse me, I'm feeling kind of horny and worked up right now. I'm going to go ahead and disappear backstage. Please, nobody bother me. No autographs or anything for the next 10 or 15 minutes. Thank you very much, Kevin.